Good afternoon. My name is John with the Pine Tree, and I have the pleasure of being here with Michael McCraddock. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, you're a marriage and family counselor, is that correct?
Marriage and family therapist.
Marriage and family therapist, okay. Now, what's the difference? What's the distinction between the two, or is that?
It's one of those titles. Originally, we were a marriage and family child counselor.
Okay.
But in order to kind of get in line with the rest of the country, they changed our title to marriage and family therapist.
Got it. Got it. Now, you have a very long background in this. Now, you originally practiced in the Bay Area, is that, and then you added this practice as well? You still do, isn't that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm down 2 days a week down in Pleasanton.
Okay.
Beautiful little downtown area. So
probably some similarities to downtown Murphy's in some ways, huh?
Yeah, very much so, except I love it even more here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
Now, how did you get into this line of work? How did you get into this?
Well, originally I kind of grew up in a family who
Mm-hmm.
my parents took care of foster kids.
So,
And
okay.
So I have a real heart for people that struggle and things like
Right.
that, and so I have a passion for that. In fact, when I kind of chose an orthodontist when I was doing some work for myself,
Yeah.
the reason I chose him was he came to me and said, "You're the type of patient that I love helping." He had a real passion for what he does.
And I think that carries through, huh? I mean,
It does. Very much so.
Now, with what types of problems do you normally see? I guess it's probably the normal husbands and wife having issues and that type of thing, or is that typical? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like most marriage and family therapists,
Mm-hmm.
I do a little bit of everything. I work
Okay.
with people that come in with stress management,
Right.
or anxiety disorders, or phobias, or depression. I do a
Okay.
little bit of everything. But the stuff that I really love doing, that I really have a passion for,
Mhm.
is working with people, with couples, advanced kind of marital skills training,
Mhm.
and doing some trauma resolution work with a treatment methodology, fascinating, that's called EMDR. Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. So the marital skill stuff that I do, it's a lot of fun.
Right.
There's some great research coming out of John Gottman up in the Seattle, Washington
Mhm.
area that basically talks about this is what works and this is what doesn't work with couples. And
Got it.
it really, it's not that complicated.
Right.
I know we all kind of think marriage is like carrying a boulder up a hill. It's not.
Sometimes
really,
my wife probably does as well. Yeah.
I'm sure. But it's not that complicated. When you've
Yeah.
got a few things that kind of tweak what you're doing, and you kind of figure out this is what works and this is what doesn't work.
Got it.
Instead of kind of falling off track all the time on a regular basis, you kind of stay on track and things run smoothly, and it's a lot of fun. So I love doing that kind of piece.
And I guess there's probably enough of a history now, I mean, of decades of counseling stuff on this, that there's probably are some things that you can pinpoint what works and what doesn't. I mean, probably a lot of, is that true now? Is there
Yeah.
a lot of data that you can go back to and say, look, this worked and this didn't? I mean,
Yeah, they've done a lot of research and seeing videotaping and watch couples and finding
Okay.
out what works, what doesn't work, and the funny thing is that some of the stuff they thought that really was going to be the key to marital work really isn't the key. And so it's kind of interesting. It really is. It's fascinating. But once you get it,
yeah.
things shift, things change.
Now, how much of in the process is really on each individual partner looking at themselves and things that they're just fundamentally just doing wrong? Is that a lot of it? Just things that we end up doing wrong.
Well, what we're looking for is how people kind of connect in relationships.
Okay.
And so when people connect, on a consistent, regular basis,
Mm-hmm.
There's a connection that happens, and then people kind of flow through things. And it's almost like driving. The more you do it, the better you get at what you're
Right.
doing and stuff.
Right.
And then when you hit those little speed bumps, you just recognize them as speed bumps instead of becoming these big, huge issues
Right.
that kind of tear people
Right.
apart. And so once you kind of get those few little keys, things that work, things become speed bumps in your relationship. It's a connection that there. You're always doing stuff regularly, and it works. So it's a lot of fun. But there are some personal issues that carry into it, just like you were saying.
Yeah.
And that's one of the pieces that I do with the other stuff more that, the EMDR, the eye movement desensitization reprocessing piece. I do that piece. And so I'm an approved consultant through the International Association, and I'm a senior facilitator with the EMDR Institute, certified in EMDR. I've been doing EMDR for about 17 years, and I've broadened it from just pure post-traumatic stress disorder work,
Right.
trauma work, to more like big T, little t trauma work, where we have like things that happen in relationships that kind of, we're going along and they kind of get us off track.
Sure.
And what I do is help kind of clear some of that stuff that fire up for us in life, that kind of keep us on that rocky road. Instead of get back on the smooth path, I get us back on that path with an EMDR. So, for instance, you have somebody that maybe they've had, something that's happened to them, a horrific car accident, or, they've encountered, maybe in the Bay Area, they ran into a gang, member with semi-automatic weapons or something, and this person no longer has a sense of kind of safety in life. And so there's this firing, this anxiety that happens all the time, and then that begins to create problems in their relationships, in their marriage. They no longer want to go outside, they don't want to do things, they, withdraw from social occasions, and things just begin to go downhill.
Right.
Well, with the EMDR, what it can do is clear that stuff so that they can begin to embrace the truth of life. Is that, on a general basis, we're relatively safe. We're not perfect, but we're relatively safe.
It's a numbers game in some ways.
Exactly. So we're not stuck in that, I'm not safe, I can't go out, bad things are going to happen. We're not in that place anymore in our marriage or our work or other places. But we clear that stuff, and it gives you a new sense of what life is about.
Right. A
new beginning.
This probably veers off our little introductory things, what we're trying to do, but do you find in a lot of couples then, where if one partner is having an issue with things like that, that the other one in the facilitating that, even though they're trying to be loving, but they end up making the problem worse in some ways, enabling? Do you see that?
Oh, yeah,
in some ways?
Okay. Yeah, a lot of times. And that's where, with some of the research, when you figure out, we start looking at stuff, people start doing things that they think are going to help.
Right.
Like I know for myself in my own marriage, therapeutically, I used to do some things that I thought, boy, this should work. This should really help us. This should, put things all back on, and I just have to take a strong stance in this area and stuff. And what I found out was it was pushing my life away. It was creating a wedge between us, distance. And so when I shifted and changed those things, it began to draw her close again. And things changed in our marriage. So when you figure that out, things shift, things change.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good. I guess we turned this into a longer session. But I guess, okay, so if somebody wants to utilize your services here, do they just give you a call and set up an appointment and get going on it? Is there you have a worksheet or an intro sheet or anything like that? How do you, how does the first process work?
Usually they can email me.
Okay.
Or they can call me at the office, either one. And basically just, and I try to, because I know that's a difficult process for a lot of people. To basically make that first call, because they've been struggling and things have been happening and life really isn't what they think it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so it's hard. And so I try as much as possible, to return people's phone calls promptly or emails promptly.
I guess swapping a few emails in some ways is kind of a low stress way of getting the conversation started, huh?
Yeah. So if people want to, ask me about, do you think you may be able to help me in this area?
Yeah.
Do you think, what is this? Have you done this before? Such stuff. I have no problem with that. I want people to feel comfortable coming in and working with me.
Right.
And I try to connect with people, and I trust the people I work with, and hopefully they trust me.
Right.
And so, it's a
that
great
sounds good.
working relationship.
And I think this area, it's great you're in this area. Thank you.
Thank you.
A valuable asset to our area. And right here in downtown Murphys. And we'll put the contact information and stuff below this little video and little article we get started. And thanks for doing what you do. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.